You're listening to The Swingdom, the champion podcast of the year. 2 guys, 28 clubs, 0 putts given, with your hosts, Ben Ridner and Gunnar Kane.
Hello, and welcome to The Swingdom. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your own yardage book. I'm going to be using my very own golf course. No, not my very own golf course. So there you go. That is the first hole of my golf course. And I am going to spin it around. I like pushing it up so that I know I'm looking directly down on it. If you hold down the roller, it works just fine. Zoom in a little bit. I try to get as much of the course in there as I can. So I've got my back tee boxes here. I've got my front tee boxes. This is the fairway. It's about 200 yards. I've got a marker right here that I'm probably going to get the distance to the center of the green for, but I haven't done that yet. So what I'm going to do now is head over here. This is the Save Image button. So this is my first hole. Now that I have it saved into my yardage book file on the desktop, it's absolutely fine. That's all I really need from this. So I'm going to go ahead and head into my Inkscape file next. Both Google Earth Pro and Inkscape are free. They're just the ones that I find that I like using the best. So there you go.
Alright, so now that I've just showed you what to do on Google Earth, I'm going to show you what to do now in Inkscape. So we're going to go to File. We're going to Import File. I've saved it into my tutorial as hole number 1. That gets imported. Okay. I'm going to turn this 90 degrees. Try to get it to line up as square as possible. And then I'm going to move it down onto my page. This is what my page will look like at the end of it. So what I do is I've got this selected. I'm going to go into Object, Fill and Stroke, and I can drop the opacity down. So I usually drop the opacity down to about 70% and make sure I've got it all on there. I can zoom in a bit. Oh, there's a lot of zooming. So I've got the green and everything around the green, sand trap, fairway, trees. And then what I'll do is I think I mentioned this earlier, but I've got my tee boxes down here, and that I'll actually put up in this corner since there's nothing between the tee boxes and the fairway that I'm going to have to measure anyway. So the easiest way to do this I found is you go over to the Draw Bezier Curves and Straight Lines, or Shift F6. Zoom in. And what you're going to do is start outlining the best you can around your fairway. So what I like to do is I like to do it in sections that are in between my curves. So here, let me zoom out a little bit so you can sort of see what I mean. So then I'll get the most natural look from the curve there. Come straight across, that's one big curve. In there. Alright, I've got that done. And I will go ahead and draw this bunker since I'm right here. Alright, so I've drawn 2 of probably the 4 things that I like to draw. Fairway, green. I'll do the green after I stretch out the fairway so I can get everything around it. Fairway, green, bunkers, and tee boxes. That's what I like to trace around. What I do then is I go to F2. I hit F2, which is my edit path by nodes. And when you select it, I select the entire thing. You'll see this hand, and you can start dragging your black lines, your outlines of the fairway to where you see them sitting. So that's pretty good. I'm just going to do this quickly. It's not going to be perfect. You can spend as much time as you want, making sure all of these curves are perfect. But you can actually get really close just doing it like this. And remember, there is nothing wrong with being really close, because most of the time you're measuring this stuff in yards anyway. So a few feet here or there isn't necessarily going to make all the difference. Got that. I'm going to drag that out just a hair. That's getting dragged up into there. Actually goes up there. Bunker, select the bunker. Pull that in. And you can pull these lines multiple times so you can get the exact shape you're looking for, which is quite nice. Try to find out where the apex is of your curve and then pull out the lines to it. So there you go. So I've got my fairway and my bunker. And if I go back to F1, my regular tool, pull that aside, I've got a pretty good layout of what my fairway and my bunker looks like. Okay. So now if I press Control Z, it'll bounce back. There's my bunker. I'm going to go over to my Bezier tool, zoom in, and I'm going to now outline the green. Going to press F2, select it, and pull out my shape. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to be pretty close. So do all 4 segments, and there you go. You've got your green. Zoom out, fairway green. I'm going to go down to the tee boxes, zoom in, use my Bezier tool again. And as you can tell, once you sort of get the hang of it, it goes really quickly. And if you have multiple tee boxes, you can draw them out at the same time using your Bezier tool. And then press F2. And you'll be able to pull them out to the correct shape. These shapes don't have to be perfect. This shape is a weird circle shape, so that's sort of what I leave it as. Just going to round out the corners on this tee box. And this, I mean, you can just use a rectangle here, but when you can see yourself, you know, on the tee box and you know this is exactly what the tee box looks like, it feels pretty good to do that. All right, so I'm going to jump up here. I've got trees. So I go to the Pentagon Star Maker. I like having stars with between 8 and 10 points. Draw out your star. So you get sort of these crazy renditions to begin with. I like to round them out. Give a decent shape. Now I round out the edges. It's very easy to overdo it. So you just got to sort of feel what's natural. You can just leave a tree looking like that. I know I sort of spend a lot of time trying to have it look just randomized, but not too randomized. All right, there you go. And now what I do is I adjust the fill and stroke. I give the fill a gradient. It feels more like a tree to me. The inside there's darker, the outside is lighter. Just sort of what, you know, you can decide to do it in green if you want. There you go. Go up, adjust the gradient. I usually just do it in black and gray. Set the stroke. Set the fill. Go over and adjust the gradients. Then I will resize this shape to be about the same size as a tree. And then if I hit Control C, That's copy. Then Control V, and I hit Control V. Wherever my arrow is, that's where it'll place one of these trees. So that's what I'm doing now, is just Control V over and over again. This is my big tree size. What I'll do is I'll go back up to here. I'll make my tree smaller. I will Control C for copy, and then Control V on these smaller trees. And I sort of do that on all the trees. So I think it looks nicer than sort of doing a square or doing a random shape and then coloring it in. When you print this out, it does look like trees. So then you go, oh, those are what trees look like. So you get all these little ones around the edges. A lot of the times you'll end up deleting some of them, but I'd rather have too many and then delete them as it goes on. So that's all the trees. I've got this hedgerow. And so what I do is just Control V, just move the arrow as much as I can. Oh, arrow got stuck. Just bring it down. And the reason I haven't put the tee boxes in this area yet is because I'm going to have to delete some of these trees. But this is the easiest way for me to make a hedgerow. I mean, Inkscape is just really, really easy for all of this. I don't need to put anything up there. I know what that looks like. Move it away. Check to see if it fits in. It doesn't. Delete as many as you think you'll need to fit this in. Select all of it. Move it in. And there you go. You've got your tee boxes with a rectangle around them in the bottom corner. So you can write the yardages in, or you can text the yardages in. We show you that in the next bit. But now that you've finished this, it is ready to take out. Oh, yep, there's a tee box again. Fairway, bunker, green. If you want to, you can select the bunker. Fill. Select green. Fill. And then you can actually do a gradient. And I've done this a few times. And what it does, it allows you to, you know, the top side of the green is darker, the bottom side of the green is, so this one will slope from top to bottom. And that gradient is just a really easy way of showing it. And now that you finish this, take it out to the golf course. All right, how you doing, guys? So I've just showed you how to make up one of these in Inkscape. So now I'm on the first hole of my home course, Bovey Tracy Golf Center. And what I do generally, I've already done it to this one, is I just sort of walk around it slowly, and I'll show you sort of where, but if you look sort of up the fairway, you'll notice that there's a ridge right around the 100-yard markers. It might be a bit too far away, but so I've put in a line where the 100-yard marker is. I've put in these bigger arrows for gentler slope, and then I've put in the lines and mounds, circles for mounds around the green. And we'll get back into Inkscape and I'll show you how to turn these doodles into actual lines and arrows on your yardage book that you can print out whenever you want for as many people as you want, and hopefully you can enjoy. So thanks.
Hello and welcome back. So we just got back from the golf course, and I took my printout and I drew as many lines as I thought were necessary on it. So now I'm going to relay those lines onto the Inkscape. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the tee boxes into the yardage book. I go up here to create rectangles and squares, simple enough to understand. Cover the whole thing. Right click, select fill. I'm going to make the stroke black, stroke style, and I'm going to just use the up arrow to thicken it up a bit. And then F1, select the whole thing, and drag it okay, so I need to delete those. And what I'll do there is to go like that, and I will cut all of those out. And I will move this back in. You can make them as big or small as you want. I'm just going to tighten them up a little bit. There you go. Alright, so I've got that in. I also know that between these two trees, I'm going to hit F6, from about there, oh, don't want that node, I want to get just outside the node, to the middle of that apex is my 100-yard marker. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to bump up the width, and I'm going to set it to red. So I'm going to set the stroke to red because that's my 100-yard marker. Easy enough to do. Alright. And then what I want to do from here on in is add the different gradients of slope on the course. So again, I just try to do this as fast and as easy as possible. So I'm going to do F6, build my line. I come over here to dashes. I go down, and then I actually use the dashes as markers for my lines. So they're very evenly spaced. And if you want to grab the whole page and move it like I do, what I'm doing is I'm holding down the roller on my mouse and moving it that way. So this is it, like on this hole, if you don't hit it very far, if you don't hit it sort of more than 100 yards, it does get you back to F1, and nope, Control Z, move that back, and I want to select all of that. Dashes down, make it straight lines, and then I like these widths to be smaller. So I go down to 0, and I bring it back up to 0.1, and that's my smaller dashes. So I know now that's where that is. Over here on this side, back to F6, I've got my arrows coming down, so I know that if I hit it into this corner of the fairway, 200 yards away, it will roll towards the green. It all rolls downhill, which is fine. So I put those in, zoom in a little bit, and then what I like to do is I go back to stars and pentagons. 3 corners on my star. 3 corners on the star. Spoke ratio. Oh, don't want 4 corners. I want 3 corners. Let's take this down to 0 first. And let's take the randomize down to 0 as well. Yep. So I'll delete this previous one. Select this one. Let's shrink it down a bit. Okay. Set fill. Set stroke. Control C. Oh, because the opacity's down on it for some reason. Control V. There you go. I just turn it. V. Turn it. V and turn it. V and oh, come on, there you go. And turn it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just got to be what you like. So I've got one more. Zoom in, and we'll turn it. So there you go. Now you know which way the fairway gently slopes. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do, again, F6. put a line there, put a line there, and this is just because around the green it slopes down entirely. I'm going to pull that. So I've got about maybe 2 feet of rough, and then it really starts coming downhill. So I'll just pull that so it looks the way that I can see to my paper. So I'll put in these circles where I know the ridges are. I just like them as lines. I'm going to set the fill as nothing. Go back to my selector tool, and then I'll turn it so they fit on the hill where they are. And I will just make the width a bit bigger so I can see what they are. Alright. Set fill. Nope. Select. If you just left click it, it sets the fill. So I probably should have told you that a bit earlier on. Make that a bit bigger. Nope. Don't want to move that. I want to move this. So I've got that there. This one fits sort of more there. F2. And then I can drag this around. F1. Drag that a little bit more that way. Drag that a bit more that way. Select. Just make that a bit wider. And then again, select the outside arc, go to dashes, depending on how wide you want them to be. I usually do third from the bottom, but you can do a bit more. So I've got my dashes, and then I will F6, and I will start drawing my lines. Goes down past the and I do the smaller ones in the middle just for spacing. I know that the longer ones are the distance. Depending on how close they are together, I guess, is how severe of a drop it is. Whereas, depending on how long they are is how long the hill goes on for. So these are quite long at the top, and then at the bottom, and then as you get to the top, they start to shorten up. So that's why I'm shortening these up. So if you go over the green, there is a bit of a downhill towards these bushes. I mean, a lot of people go for the green and one on this one. It's only 232 yards, so you can imagine that they do. Alright, so that's all of my lines around the green. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see them. I go back to my selector tool, F1, and then I get everything in it. It's okay if you get this, because all I'm doing is clicking on the dashes so that it all goes to dashes, and then it goes there. So I've got 1 on my width, and I will bump the width up. Actually, I'll keep the width down, and then what I'll do is I'll click specifically on my green, and then I'll bump the width up on my green. If you want to, these are things you can do. You can add color to your bunker. So select the bunker, and do a light yellow, select your green, do a light green there. If you want to show on the green, so this is your gradient, and what you can do, and so because I know that the whole green runs top to bottom, I like doing this. So I know that up here where it's darker, that's the high side of the green, and down here where it's lighter is the low side of the green. Actually, the green runs this way, so that's the lowest point of the green. I'll move it over just a little bit just so you can see that. So there you go. There's a grading as well. The other thing you should do is put in a box with all your yardages. I go to square. Very cool. A. Start here. 1/10. And I'll drop that font down to 16. And I'll drag that there, center it. Alright, next text box. Actually, I'm going to make that a bit bigger. Text box. I'm going to go with S.I. S.I. And I'm going to bring that down to about 12. Hit enter. Move that to the middle. The SI is 11/12. Sorry, this is just me just screwing around with it. The yardage is 232 and 240. I'm going to bring that, see, that'll fit it exactly there. And then I'm going to put another box down here. That just says par 4. And again, that's huge. I don't know why it's all in 30, so I'll bring that down to 16. Move that there. And then I can adjust my box. And what you can do is, let me not do that, let me do that, is you can, once you've started your next hole, what you can do is select, copy and save this, and then just import it into your, or paste it into your next page. So you don't have to worry about doing all the fonts again, doing all this, you know, just go in there to 11, and then whatever the yardage is, par 3, par 4, par 5. So that's what you've got there. If you want to, you can go down to here and do a little box. 240. We'll bring the font down a little bit. So 240 from the back of the T. So there you go. And that is essentially the first page of my yardage book. I'll do that another 8 times with 8 different holes, so that I have the entire course. You'd probably have to do another 17 times. If you have an 18-hole course, I'm lucky enough to have a 9-hole course. In the next video, I will show you guys how to just do the greens. The other thing you can do is you can walk the course with a rangefinder, put something in the middle of the green, and then from different locations here, from, say, different trees, or different apexes, or different sprinkler heads, you can shoot your own yardages to the front, center, and back of the greens. Good luck, guys, making your own yardage book. Again, this is Ben. Check out the Swingdom. We're on any podcasting platform, and we're going to be here on YouTube. So thanks for checking this out, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
You've been listening to The Swingdom. Remember, we're just 2 guys, 28 clubs, 0 putts given.